All right, getting ready to head back to Western Pennsylvania. We've been spending a little time here talking about Memorial Day and, of course, what its significance is. You know, many years ago, when I was in this town as a young man doing play-by-play sports, I got to meet a lot of people who really were the foundation for making me what I am today. That team effort, if you will, we were talking about with Drew Cooper a little while ago. What you need to understand, ladies and gentlemen, you are only good as the people around you, and I was around truly some of the best. Many of them veterans, and literally too numerous to mention. And if you're watching this, no matter where you are, you know who you are or who those family members were that really helped me along the way. But there is one gentleman that always comes to mind whenever I come to East Liverpool this time of year. Many of you may not even recognize the name, but for hardcore Potter fans, you will absolutely remember the name of Gary Fletcher. He was a drum major at East Liverpool High School in the late 60s. And then shortly after, he ended up on the point, which basically means you had a shelf life of about 3 weeks to possibly live while you were scouting ahead for your squadron in Vietnam. Gary Fletcher made it through, but for those who knew him and loved him, and I truly did love him, you have to really wonder if he came back. Physically, he looked okay. But you know what I remember the most, and I was just literally out of my teenage years into my early 20s, so I was just trying to figure life out. We would be at various places after a football game and just kind of relaxing, enjoying a couple of beers. And in that conversation and the gathering of people huddled in one corner, I would always kind of, as a quarterback, would peek up over that huddle and look to see what was going on around me. And there was Gary from time to time alone at the end of the bar with his tie loosened and kind of with his shoulders shrugged, enjoying his beer. Very quiet, not talking very much. And you know, because of the way my mother raised me, it's about engaging your friends. I would slip out of the huddle and I would go sit with him. You know, we never really talked about Vietnam. I would do everything to make him laugh. I just really loved Gary Fletcher. And then as the years went by and I started to hear more, and then after his untimely death about what he did, I've often felt a little guilty that I never got the chance to do what he did to serve our country. Don't ask me why. The war ended just before I graduated, or the draft stopped literally months before that 18th birthday. I often think, what would have been? So my mission has always been this time of year to go over and above promoting the men and women of the military. And you know, I've met a lot of famous people in entertainment and athletics throughout my career, and yes, some big-time politicians too. And I've interviewed them on the radio and television, and I've done many of these social media videos. But I will tell you this, in my opinion, Gary Fletcher was one of the most incredible human beings that I've ever met. The quiet man. He didn't say much, but what he did in those 18 months in Southeast Asia speaks volumes. And I think that's just one of the reasons why I will continue to carry the torch, and I ask you to do the same thing. Not just for Gary Fletcher, but for those still serving today, and many who are not coming back, only in a flag-draped coffin. So thank you, Gary Fletcher. I love you. I miss you every day. And to everyone that I have met in my life who has served or currently serving, I salute you and simply know that I'm blessed to have you in our country. Good afternoon from Legacy Studios in East Liverpool, Ohio.